can be challenging to spend the entire day living inside a small space, like a tiny home or, in our case, a fifth-wheel trailer. But for us, this just gives us an excuse to spend as much time outside as possible. If the weather allows, we like to take our meals outside, so often in the summer, in the spring, or the evenings if we have a fire going, which nowadays is not too often because we're in a bit of a rainy season. It should be snowing, but we're getting a lot of rain, and so we are not eating our meals in the rain. And although our space is limited in the trailer, we don't let that be a barrier to our time spent in the kitchen. Okay, I think I'm going to clean it up. It's a little chaotic in here. What are the odds we can both cook in here?
What are the odds we both cook in this tiny kitchen? We told our audience we can't do that.
Joel is more right than he is wrong. We usually do not cook together in this kitchen, and if we do, often one of us is doing our chopping on the dining room table. But today we had lots of crafts and things going on, so we both utilized the kitchen together as best as we could. Oh wow, we've got quite a boil on there. I'm gonna lower the flame.
Ah, the spoon's hot.
Yeah.
The spoon's hot.
Oh, I lowered the flame too much. May I ask you to relight me?
You want ignition?
Yeah. Can I ask you to put these in so she doesn't get close?
Sure. Do you want all that juice? Probably not.
Yes.
Yes?
Tomato juice, totally. Delicious?
Delicious.
Yeah. And I'll get a jar of tomato sauce too, yeah? Some ways that we make cooking in this small space not only tolerable and manageable, but pretty easy and functional, is that we definitely utilize every surface we can while we're cooking. We are also really good friends with the Instant Pot, so we do a lot of delicious slow cooked meals that will just be a one pot type of use. And also we often make big batches of food. So on this occasion, when Joel and I are here cooking together, I had a friend that just had a baby, and so I wanted to bring her a meal. But I didn't want to just cook for her. I wanted to also cook for my family, so I made a big pot of lazy cabbage rolls. So this is me chopping up the cabbage. I like to make this recipe because it's so delicious. It has all the flavor of cabbage rolls. I don't even want to say you're compromising the texture, because in my opinion, it almost enhances the texture. The softness of the cabbage blend in with the mushiness of the beef and rice, and it's so delicious. And it takes away all the elbow grease of steaming the cabbage, rolling them into their form. You just throw it all into one pot and it's amazing. And it's amazing, but it does need more salt. Yeah, quite a bit. Here you go. Actually, I can do it. You're fully blocking the camera here.
Oh, sorry guys.
Okay, no one. You don't have friends online. Joel,
Yes, please.
do you know where the countertop extender is?
Countertop extender?
Yeah, you know
I don't know what that is.
No, like the cover.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where is it?
I'm not gonna like the answer.
It's downstairs.
You know the free pile at the dump?
No, you put it there?
No, I didn't. But it is where the water main enters this space.
One sec. It's where the water main. Oh, okay. Oh, I know where it is.
Around by the propane tanks. There's
Okay.
a door where
Yeah.
the string lights come out of.
Yeah. Okay, in other words, not worth it. The cabbage rolls were so easy. I just used a head of cabbage, 2 pounds of beef, an onion, some garlic, some dill, bone broth, bay leaves, and more or less that's about it. Salt and pepper to taste. Oh, and of course some frozen cherry tomatoes and tomato sauce from our garden. Joel here, on the other hand, he's making a creamy cauliflower ham soup. Now, I'll admit I was not that excited about this soup, but it ended up being so delicious. I'm already craving it again. We've been in a bit of a soup era, as you'll see in this video.
Like, I do have to make a bechamel.
Awesome. Joel usually isn't a fan of soups, but if they aren't blended and we have maybe some bread with them and they contain meat, then to him, that's a complete meal. And because we're in the colder months, I really value having soup at least once a week, just so we can get that bone broth in our bodies, lots of minerals, and kind of keep any sickness at bay. I'm laughing to myself right now because I'm currently a little bit sick, and I hope you can't tell it in my voice. But, you know, we had a successful Christmas holiday over on the east side of Canada, some days with Joel's family here in British Columbia, and I'm also going back to work. So we moved myself into my studio this week. So lots going on. I'm not surprised I'm sick. Yeah, we gotta empty the fridge before we go. Because we're leaving. We're leaving, Yara. This is the worst onion peel I've ever done in my life. Oh my gosh. That was way too energy intensive.
And we're going to fry the veg down in tallow.
I was thinking that too, though, for my recipe. Are you okay with that?
There's lots of tallow.
For my meal?
Yeah.
I kind of wish I was... I should have used your cutting board because it's non-porous for the onions. Coming through. We got the dill. We got some bay leaves. Got some garlic. These are gonna be some good lunches, eh?
Oh, look at my butt crack.
I can't see your butt crack.
You can look if you want.
Joel, that should be just about enough soup for tonight.
I like soup.
Whoa! That's really nice. That's very, very nice. On this night, we had a really busy night, and so I decided to make one of my go-to meals, which is just a simple curry. I love making variations of this recipe because, in my opinion, it's really impressive, but it's so easy. I just start by caramelizing some onions with some ghee, some clarified butter, and some cumin. Quite a bit of cumin, at least a tablespoon or two, depending on how many onions and the quantity you're looking to make. And then after that, I'll add garam masala because I love garam masala in my curries. It adds this special sweetness with umami. It's so delicious. And then I'll usually add some turmeric perhaps, salt, pepper. I always grate ginger. I put my aromatics in first, so onions, grated ginger, and garlic, along with the cumin and spices. I have some cilantro there for garnish, salt and pepper to taste. I actually don't think I put pepper in my curries. Pepper to your discretion. And then a protein of your choice. So either I'll marinate it with a curry blend that I've whipped up, or just kind of put it straight into the base and let it marinate as it cooks, sort of, like blend in with all the flavors. And I'll put some soup broth, some bone broth, usually some tomato sauce in with this, and that's pretty much it. Super simple. On this occasion, I added okra and some paneer cheese. I love paneer. Joel and I are not afraid of meat, and we actually just invested in a half a cow, and our half had the hanging weight of 450 pounds. And if you've ever purchased beef before, you will know that half a cow is way too much food for us. So we will probably not be having too many vegetarian meals coming up to make sure we go through the beef. We did also sell a little bit to Joel's parents and some friends, but we still have to do our part in consuming a lot of beef this year. So New Year's resolution, more beef. At the start of most weeks, I'll start a batch of bone broth, and I'll use bone broth in most anything, whether I need to make a sauce less thick or I'm making a soup. We had to get serious about making space in our deep freezer, so I actually found some celery leaves from our garden 2 summers ago. So here I am packing the Instant Pot with some celery leaves, onions. I put whole cloves of garlic in usually. Mushrooms are so delicious in broth. I didn't have any today. Always some carrots, celery, and some peppercorns, a little splash of vinegar just to help the marrow come out and soften the bones. Even though I do enjoy cooking, I don't enjoy cooking for hours every single day. And so oftentimes I even like to reserve a day or two, even in the week, where I'm doing very little, almost no cooking at all, maybe a bowl of oats, and then just kind of picking from the batch meals that I've made, which I'm doing right now, or a leftover for dinner kind of thing. Like I said, not often, but maybe once, maybe twice a week. This will be the case for me. And on this week, I made a huge batch of taco salad, and we actually ate this every single day for lunch. Joel and I really don't mind doing that as long as the dinners are often spruced up. So even if we do have leftovers for dinner, I make it different. I make it feel different somehow. On Sundays, usually, I will set out 10 containers and I will fill these containers up to the brim with nutritious, hearty, filling food, and that will be our lunch for the week. And for our family, we really don't mind doing that so long as I spruce up dinner somehow and we're having something a little different for breakfast. Then it really doesn't feel boring for us. This was another super simple recipe for me. I just browned about 2 pounds of ground beef with some garlic, onions, lots of chili powder, some cumin, and that's pretty much about it. Salt and pepper, divvied that up between the 10 jars, and then I just put a bunch of toppings. Usually I'll saute some onions and bell peppers together with some cumin, and then just tossing with a lot of freshness, some homemade salsa and cilantro, and that was our meal every day for the whole week. It was amazing. I wish I loved sandwiches, and I do enjoy the odd sandwich, but I cannot have a sandwich every single day for lunch. That is just not something that appetizes me. That's what I grew up having as a child every day, and so I really do avoid sandwiches. I know there are so many ways to make amazing sandwiches, but for me, this just feels so warm and hearty and substantial to have a full meal. And when I'm making 10 in one sitting, it really doesn't feel like that much effort. You know, this took me total maybe about 2 hours tops for 10 meals. And what I like to do in addition with this salad is I like to buy from our local Mexican restaurant some tortillas, and I'll just cover them with a little bit of olive oil and salt, and I'll just roast them in the oven at 350 degrees for I think about 10 minutes until they just kind of brown gently. And they make for the most delicious tortilla chips. I love them so much. And so we have a few little chips to go along with our salad, and it really does feel like enough. I usually have my sous chef alongside with me, and I love it, although lately she is so much bigger and more advanced than in this video already just a few weeks ago. So right now I have to cook with her a lot less because she's a lot more interested in grabbing and reaching for things, and she's just about to start food. So I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful when bringing her along in the kitchen. But she's often content to watch me. Now, this is another meal for the week. I actually made quite a big batch this time as well, but we only had this meal one night, and the rest went into the freezer for one of those nights or days when the day is just very full and it's gotten away from me. And I am making another soup. I usually start most of my soups with a mirepoix, so celery, carrots, onion, slow cooked in a fat. So olive oil or butter, for example. We got this large ham, and I'm actually making another soup with it. We don't have ham too often, but this week we just so happen to have quite a bit of it. Now, this soup that I'm making, it's not another ham soup. It's actually mostly a vegetable lentil soup, but we really enjoy when we dice up little chunks of ham for that little salty kick. In most of my soups, I really love to have a nice homemade bone broth for the base of the soup, usually a lot of fresh herbs as well. I have a friend who preserved some of our herbs from our garden last summer in salt, and this is something that's a little bit more common in the eastern part of Canada, in Quebec, and he called this herbe salée. I love trading preserves because in this example, I would have never made herbe salée, but I'm super grateful and happy that we have it. And now I'm inspired to make my own next summer when we grow more herbs. The spices that I usually add to this soup is turmeric, smoked paprika. We love smoked paprika, and some chili flakes, salt and pepper. Super simple again. Another quick and easy meal, although super delicious and very nourishing. I like to add kale when the soup is nearly finished, just to preserve most of the nutrients in the kale. This here is frozen kale from our garden. I love to keep a lot of kale in our freezer for the winter months because we consume kale quite a bit. I just really enjoy it. What I'm doing here is actually something that I saw from More Than Farmers. Michelle was making this for her family, and I was super inspired by it because in ways I resonate with her. She is not a huge fan of being in the kitchen. I am. I'm just not a fan of being in the kitchen constantly. And so this recipe, even though I love to bake and love to make sourdough items and things like this is amazing. I just oiled the pan, poured the starter directly in, sprinkled some salt, and you can put herbs. You could even turn this into a bit of a focaccia and, maybe add some garlic, some cherry tomatoes. But today it was just super simple. I just added rosemary. And then I baked it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 15 minutes. I kind of kept an eye on it. I knew I wanted it to be crunchy and feel like a really amazing breadstick. So some crunch, some softness, and that's exactly what we got. It was a success. So I'll definitely be doing this again, especially when I don't have the foresight to prepare a sourdough in a meal that really wants bread. Every week looks a little different for us. These were just a couple meals that we had in this one week. And we want to thank you for joining us in our tiny kitchen.
Well, cheers to good breakfast.
Thanks. Cheers.